couple of things I like to do on this. I'm in a D tuning. It's the same thing as being tuned up to an E chord, but it's a whole step lower. So the notes are D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. And I haven't tuned up to a tuner, so I don't know if this is perfectly in concert pitch, but we're just going to go with that. Anyway, well, in this tuning, of course, it's pretty easy to keep your basic rhythm going. And some things that, I'm going to take the slide off because it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing with the slide on there. I'm going to take the shape of a D chord, like in regular guitar tuning. I'm going to place it so that my first finger is on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. So that gives me like a D dominant 7 chord. Now I'm going to lower it a half step and bring it back up. So the other thing I like to do is I'm going to start on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and I'm going to play this little, kind of like a little diagonal line shape. It looks similar to something you do in regular guitar tuning, but the consequences are a little different as far as what kind of chord it is. If you do it starting on the 2nd fret, you might recognize the sound of that as a D6 chord. If you lower it a half a step, it's like a B flat dominant 7 chord with a 3rd, which is the D, in the bass. One of my favorite moves is to work that change. So if I put those two things together, now the other thing I'm going to add to that is I like this little shape here. I'm going to be on the 3rd fret. I'm going to bar these two. At the 2nd fret, I'm on the 2nd and 3rd string. And then there and there. If I raise that up a half step, you can tell by the sound of it that it's a D7 chord. See, what do we got? We got major 3rd, perfect 5th, flat 7, and major 3rd again in the top string. And one of the classic sounds you get in blues music is to play a dominant 7 chord a half step below. So it sounds temporarily kind of out of tune. It creates a tension. And then you bring it back up. Okay? So what if we mix all of these things together? Another one of my favorite things to do is to play this chord we were just talking about, but leave this note off. So really I'm playing these 3 barred. Let's see, what does that give us? It gives us a, let's see, that would be a E, and then a C sharp. No, it would give you an E and a B and a G sharp with F in the bass. So it's like an E. Whoa, that's cool, man. It's like an E with an F in the bass. You could pull that out of diminished harmony. Anyway, I'm playing that over a D bass. It just, I like that sound a lot. Kind of a cool Delta bluesish kind of a rhythm or sound going, I like to play the the third string at the first fret and then pull it off. So you really, this is the major third of the chord. Do, re, mi, 1, 2, 3. And when you bring it up a half step, that becomes the, it makes it a D sustain chord. So, but we're just going to do that for an instance. And then I'm doing some of the classic stuff you hear in Delta blues. I call that the train whistle lick. I'm on the 7th fret, which is actually the perfect fifth of the tuning you're in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this is really the flatted third, but you're bending it up to the third. But a lot of times in blues, we bend it part of the way, but don't actually get it in tune. It creates like a lot of tension, but in a good way. And you hear, you know, lots and lots of rock guitar players that play, or blues-inspired rock players, like Jimi Hendrix, and you know, they'll slide up to this. The second string at the second string at the 5th fret is the same note as the first string open. Now, even though this is tuned differently than standard guitar tuning, that works on, like if you're playing in the key of E on a regular guitar tuning. You'll hear guitar players like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, and lots of guitar players do that same kind of stuff. When you hear those two notes together, you can play them off of each other, or you can slide. And a lot of times, two notes are never going to be perfectly in tune. So you can even bend that note that you're fretting. So intentionally pull the tuning like kind of... I talked about at the beginning. Someday I'm going to write these notes down and make it a horn section. So when I play it, the horns in my band can do that right with me. Okay, I'm going to mix it up with a little slide.